There we go. What's up? What's up? Awesome.
Hey.
Good shit. How's it going over there, man? And you're in Jersey, right?
Yeah, downtown Jersey City.
Nice. Good shit. That's awesome. Well, welcome to the show, man. My name is Gibran Nassif. This is Keyed Up. It's a podcast. We talk about music, from music to culture, all kinds of cool stuff. So, yeah, appreciate having you today. Everyone, this is Jake Kolatis, a.k.a. Jake Casualty. He's in the band The Casualties, a really super talented guitarist. Thanks for coming in today, man. Yeah, dude, you're actually super fast. Like I've seen you all live a lot, like in the Warped Tour days and all that. And you shred it, man. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, well, just try to match the energy of the crowd a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Good stuff. So yeah, the first question, tell me about yourself and how you started music, or I guess what inspired you.
I kind of feel like it was, just being in school, being bored, and just like getting turned on to punk rock through skateboarding. There was this dude that was my neighbor. His name was Jeff Fisher, and he was always into like cool shit, and I was always kind of like creeping on him because we were neighbors. Like, what's this dude into?
Yeah.
And then he got me into like skateboarding and like the music that went with it. And at that time it was the late 80s, so it would have been all like cool shit like the Drunk Engines, Adolescents, Sex Pistols, like really like cool like skate punk bands, and then that shifted a little bit, and I kind of abandoned like skateboarding, and not abandoned it, but I just kind of got more into like punk rock, and because I wasn't really that good at skateboarding, so I just like picked up a guitar, and I was kind of like getting more into the music scene, and I felt like that was the beginning. And then and then what comes later, going to shows. There was these two girls, God, I forget their names because it was so long ago, but they would take like, they were like the only ones in town with like a license, and they were cool. They were always going to shows, and they would take like me and maybe some other friends of mine to we were all the same age, and they were like a little older than us, and they would take us to shows, man. It was cool. I wish I could thank them because I've lost touch. That was like a long time ago, but we would go to like Trenton, New Jersey, to City Gardens, and then after that, those were like the big shows, and then you start getting like a little thirst for the smaller shows. Yeah, and that was when I started going to the city and doing more shit like that, and like getting really into the underground. Because then it went from like seeing like the Buzzcocks and the Dickies, to seeing like fucking bands that don't even exist anymore. But time would have been like the Denied. I saw the Casualties before I was in the Casualties. Like really underground shit at that time, man. Like 90s stuff. It was fucking cool, and it was like in the size of a living room at a place called the ABC No Rio, which is now defunct. But they were that was a super underground time in New York City. There was also warehouse shows in now what's called Williamsburg, but that's like now that's really super
upscale, like, a little bit, right?
Yeah,
it's changed.
Little artisanal jellies and jams and
things. That's funny. Well, that's amazing, man. That's incredible. I mean, I like how you mentioned it's funny when you're younger, there's always that mentor, around.
Yeah, dude. There's a few of them in my life that really helped me progress into being like where I'm at now. And if I ever write about it, I will definitely give them the credit that is due. But I'll never forget. Those are the people that you never forget. Like the people that are like, yo, I'll take you, because I feel like that's like the pain in the fucking ass, man. Who wants to take like a 12-year-old kid to a show? It's annoying, But that was fucking really cool. It really like kind of got me into. I remember Tim from the Blanks, the bass player. I don't know if he's still in the band or not. I don't think so, but he was also in the Broken Heroes. and this is the early '90s. He would just like come and hang out, and he would show me how to play guitar, on certain songs, like how to mute strumming on, because I wanted to play Chaos by the Foreskins. And so he was like, "Oh, you got to do it like this," you know, because he was a skinhead dude at the time. Okay. And we would drive around and listen to like Blitz, and I was like, "Who the fuck is that? That's cool. That's what I want to get into." Mm-hmm. And like I'm still listening to that this day. Yeah. Like fuck. Yeah. However many years later.
yeah. That's crazy. Yeah. That's amazing. So speaking of that, like you started with skateboarding, of course, like skateboarding and punk rock are like, they always fuse together somehow. So
totally, it was, yeah. And then I kind of think it got like a little, you know, it went in a different direction. It went like kind of like, you know, more like hip hop and house music. And I at the time I was not having like an interest in that, and yeah. I sort of saw like skateboarders get more away from punk rock, and I was like, and I loved like Thrasher magazine and buying little T-shirts and shit out of the back and Misfit Skulls, and then it all kind of went away, and there was like psychedelic shit. I was just like, I can't relate to this anymore.
Yeah,
you know, I'm just like, I'm not into that. And so without being a hater, I just went in the other direction. I went more like I want to listen to punk. I want to go listen to metal and stuff. Like I didn't really, skaters weren't doing that anymore, you know. Yeah. And I was seeing that change happen, but now it's kind of back.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
There was a time, I think in the mid '90s or early '90s, when it super just drifted away from that, and it wasn't like skate and destroy anymore, you know.
Yeah.
So
speaking of that, I have a cool, I'll send you the movie where it was on. It was some, I can't remember their name right now, but it was like a movie. It was like I don't know what it was, but it was a situation where it was a kid and he was a skateboarder, and he goes up to his room, and there's literally a Casualties poster hung up on his room. I need to find it and send it to you, but all right. It's super cool. Yeah. Like, so speaking of the band, like, tell me about the Casualties and how it started.
You know, I honestly, dude, I wasn't like an OG member. I wasn't on the first 7-inch. So like I said, I went to go see them.
Okay.
And, dude, George was, George was so cool to me at the time. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I really looked up to those guys. Because they were older, you know, and I was like, these guys are fucking wild. That's like what I wanted to do. Yeah. You know, that's what I wanted to be. And so, like, I would go see their shows, hang out, and eventually, because the band was around like a year or two before me. Like, they did a 7-inch before I was in the band, and like we became friends with most of the guys, and then slowly started like hanging out, and one day they just needed a guitarist, and it was cool. So I, you know, technically I'm not original.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
So you just hired gun. You just started showing up at the shows, and then.
Yeah, I was just fucking. I guess persistence pays off when you're just fucking annoying all the time and hanging out.
Yeah.
So like, you know, I would go support those bands and like.
Yeah.
Dude, Jesus, I mean, it was fucking cool. Those, you know, went from being like the patches that you would get that were like embroidered to being like the first time seeing patches that were like just cloth patches. Now this was like 1992 or 3, you know, like it was, but I remember going to like those places, and there wasn't like really a lot of punks, but the ones that were there were so fucking wild and real that I was just like, and you know, you can imagine it being like 12 or 13.
Seeing that,
yeah, like, you know, but this was like just shortly after my dad died and all this stuff, and it was just like I was just out there, you know, in the world, and I was just like, you know, my mother was doing what she could do at the time to keep the house together and the family sort of together, you know, and so I was kind of like going out and just getting to the city any chance I had to just be a part of this thing. Even, and I didn't think that this was ever going to be a thing, that I was going to be in a band, or, you know, you can stop me when I'm talking too much.
No, not at all, man. I love it. Reason why I was thinking all this stuff, because of y'all, because of the Casualties, the Unseen, Rancid, all those other bands when I started listening to when I was younger, introduced from my sister, who was my mentor, who took me to shows, like talking about earlier. But yeah, when I got into, because I'm a drummer, I started drumming in punk bands and all that kind of stuff.
Cool.
It's just amazing how there's so many things that music does, you know, like and when it comes to that specific music, that's how I started playing music, with punk rock music, and it was just so much fun. Like it didn't matter. We made our own merch, we made money off merch, like we kept trying, you know, and that we didn't care, you know what I mean? And that's just kind of amazing how you guys still have that for the music thing, but at the same time, you're professionals, you need to pay bills and all that kind of stuff. So it's just really cool to see that balance and all that. So
yeah, I mean, there's something there where like some people just don't understand, but it's okay. You can't make everybody understand shit that, like, it's like trying to teach an economics class to like 5-year-old. It's like, when people are like kind of complaining about bands selling stuff and paying, and they have ticket prices and stuff, it's like you don't realize. Well, they don't realize it takes money to be a band. I mean, we would always, anything we made off a T-shirt or something, we would dump it back into the band. You know, there's like practice. Like we don't live in the, we don't have the resources of like, oh, I'm from Ohio and everybody has a fucking basement and you can just practice there. No, when you're in the city, man, you have like, you know, the practice space that you go and rent.
Yeah.
There's not just like, you can't just like, you know, have a room dedicated to music equipment. That's not how it went. Like there's usually someone living in that room. There's not space in the city, and there certainly wasn't in New York City either. And so money like that, you make off shirts, and just go to like, oh, we have to buy a van, we have to do, they just get eaten up really quick, and it still does, you know. So people are under these impressions, like, you know, take a big band for example. Think of the fucking kind of, it's all relative, you know, like, yeah, some bands are mega famous and they make a lot of money, but then other bands that are like mid-sized, like, dude, they got to pay for shit, man, a lot of shit. And what are they gonna tell you, you know, like, oh, here's our bill for the storage space. Here's our bill for, it's fucking like, no one cares about that. Yeah. But people do care to like slag on bands that can fucking have a few bucks once in a while. Like, big deal. Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's tough, man. I don't know.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's totally agree. I mean, it's great because now, you know, during this, everything, all of touring stopped right now, obviously, like, and it's kind of interesting what you're seeing now from the major record business side, you know, the corporations. They don't know what to do anymore.
I just figured that was kind of over.
Yeah, really. It kind of already is. I mean, the rise of independent artists is just more stronger than ever, but I think this pandemic is like just like lifted it up, you know, even more. And it's great because like artists, you know, independent artists can now have a more fair share with, I don't know, just other opportunities they might have missed because some major guy took the place, you know, that kind of
stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of music out there, and you know, I think there's two things. Like, I think for new bands it's a little hard to get because you know, if you're not like putting like your effort into like, you know, making a record, or like it's just online, it can just get kind of lost in the shuffle. That's why I kind of like when bands can have like, when a band to me gets in the studio and like cuts a record, whatever it costs, but actually goes to the length of putting that out on vinyl, that tells me like they care about their band. Yeah. And I can get like something from them, like, whether it's just like any asshole can record a demo and just like, cool, I made this demo, here's my fucking band. It's like, yeah, that's cool, you know, but if you go, there's like a next level, like, where like, okay, these guys like they worked for a few weeks and put their fucking hard-earned money into putting something out. Yeah. It'll be like, we're presenting ourselves like as such, you know, like, yeah, we got to put a record out, man, a 7-inch, an LP, whatever, you know. But it's like, to me, it's like, okay, that's legitimate. Like, they're not just like, there, there's dozens of bands that can just like, make some music, but it's like, are you going to go to the next level?
Yeah.
Are you going to go to the next step and fucking, DIY or whatever, but
yeah,
put the fucking time in and put your money where your mouth is and like care about your fucking band.
Yeah.
Care about it.
Exactly. Yeah. I definitely agree, man. Cause that's like your fans are you'll help your band continue. You know what I mean? They'll help your band grow, and all that kind of stuff. So that's definitely super important. Good stuff. So I got a cool question up here. So what is the best show you've ever played and kind of the most craziest show?
I remember a lot. Like the one was, there was this, I remember one of my very first shows, of course, would have been, jeez, dude, in Brooklyn, when Brooklyn was a fucking nightmare, dude. I was like, this little like 13-year-old dude, like, I'm talking like no tattoos, like just like going in with a Fender Telecaster. Like I was in the band, and like I was like my first show, and I remember getting on stage, and the first thing, there's this huge punk dude.
Oh shit!
And I remember getting like wild fucking huge Liberty Sykes, and he came up to me and he just like grabbed me and just spit an entire like mouthful of beer in my face. I was like,
oh,
okay. I was like, all right, cool. So not only is it gonna be like the fucking crazy show, I was just like, I'm just gonna get killed. Like I'm gonna get killed. It felt like, here we go, dude. But it was so fucking crazy because it was just like punk, It wasn't like, it might have been a little bit like, okay, you're gonna get your chops, your licks, like you can't just roll into this. This is like, you gotta earn this a little bit. And that was like the beginning of like fucking just like, all right, shit, I'm in this now. Yeah. There's no like getting out of it. And they were ripping like George, and we had another singer, Colin, at the time. Dude, they were ripping those guys off stage like just
that's crazy.
It was the wildest punk show, but it was also like one of my first. So it was like, I was just kind of like, holy fuck, like what did I get myself into?
Damn, that sounds wild.
It was great though. I loved it. I mean, like it was just an ever continuing thing of like, I am in this, and I love it. So, and then the other show was like one of the ones that sticks out is like, okay, like maybe just a couple of years ago when we played Rockin' El Parque, and it was like, that's what was cool about this. Me telling you like that first show in New York City to now, or now-ish, playing in front of 100,000 people in Colombia. It was like, not only was it like, I felt like inside, I was like, well, we made our mark forever. No matter what, the band's music will be there forever.
Yeah.
And I thought about that show in New York when no one had heard of us, even just like outside of Brooklyn or Manhattan. And then fast forward a few years later, and you're playing in front of 100,000 people in Rock El Parque, and they do the biggest wall of death to any punk rock band ever, which was a video of. And it was just like, it settled in like, okay, like I'm not, rich off this or anything, but I kind of like did what I set out to do. I accomplished this. And I wrote those songs that those people were dancing to. So it was kind of like, all right, it was like a sense of like, you did it, you kind of did it. I'm having fun, and it was a long road, but it was like, for all the thick and thin, all that shit, it like paid off,
Yeah.
And it not paid off in a rich sense of like accomplishment and being a part of something that I really poured my life into, really, so that was like that was the $1 million. That wasn't $1 million.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean.
That was like the payment inside.
Yeah.
Inside. And I was like, okay, like shit, man, I could set the guitar down and be like fucking awesome. But I mean, of course I'll keep doing it. It's my life, but at that time, it was fucking fantastic, dude. Not only was it like the biggest show the band ever played, well after we were like young 22-year-olds.
Yeah.
It was like that, but also in a different country, dude, on a different continent, So
100K people.
Ego aside, it was just like, whoa, this was fucking. Those are the two that I could put up to each other, like, pretty wild, man. Pretty wild.
They're, if you think about it, they're both kind of turning points, even
Yeah,
despite the situation. Yeah, that's really cool.
It went from being like watching it went from like watching old members like shoot up
Mm-hmm.
to like changing members to getting into recording studios to going on tours to like being on like Warped Tour to having like a, you know, some pretty cool TV spots. So
Yeah.
it just went from such a fucking here to here, like, but over time, you know, it took time. And, you know, it took a lot of time, a lot of criticism, and all kinds of shit, man.
Yeah.
But fuck it, man. Fuck
Exactly.
it.
Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah.
Good shit.
It was awesome, man.
Yeah.
I loved the ride. It was a great ride. It is still a good ride.
Yeah, definitely. That's incredible, man. 100,000 people. That was probably like you probably felt their energy, I bet. You know, when
It
you're
was
on the
pretty
stage.
fucking epic. It
Yeah.
felt like, you know, and it was like, the funny thing about that show was like just the photo pit
Mhm.
from me to the beginning where the kids were up against the barrier out there.
Yeah.
Just the photo pit would have been like a big show, you know.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Just a little yeah, it was fun. It was fun, man. It was cool. It felt like it was a really good feeling. That's a great festival, man. It's really cool. Yeah.
That's amazing. The next question, man. So I got you've been in this band, you know, for a long time, since the early 90s, making history, even influencing generations, you know, from, I mean, especially in America, and now internationally. So how does that make you feel? What kind of motivates you, or motivates the band to stay around?
I just think it's like I'm happy if we're ever the soundtrack to someone's fucking teenage adolescence or up to my age, like, I'm happy about it. That makes me happy. If people had a moment with the band that they really enjoyed, or saw a show that, you know, changed some perspectives, or, you know, really like in any way affected their life in a positive way.
Yeah.
I hope that's cool, man. And then, so I think that keeps us going. And then, you know, there's, with David now, the new singer, there's such a rebirth of the band and energy, great energy, man. I love being in a band with that dude. Any other guys, of course, but it's just like fun again. Cause there was a few years where it wasn't the few years where it wasn't exactly the funnest time. And you know, now it's like fun again, and we're touring nonstop, and, you know, this COVID thing will be over eventually, and we'll hit the road again.
Yeah.
And I'm writing songs. I'm happy to do it. It kind of, so that part of it, that adds a new fucking element to it. Like a new, I felt like the history of the band wasn't dwindling. Like now it's like, oh shit, we could be on this the ship could sail to another battle. You know?
I like that saying, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's dope.
It's like, still sailing, man. Fuck 'em. Great.
I was about to say Written in Blood, man, is like that whole album front to back is I like a lot of the older songs. I mean, the older records, but this one is like, I've been listening to it like front to back for a while, like most of the spring. It's incredible.
Yeah. Dave has great range. He's energetic. He contributes. Oh shit, I forgot what that was like with the singer. He contributes.
Yeah.
He drives.
Yeah.
He can fucking drive the van. So there's all these things that like make this a positive thing, and like, dude, yeah, thank you. I mean, just I'm like so emotional about that change that we took, and the step we took to fucking continue this band. Because I always feel like the band, the Casualties, that logo that you see is like more important than anybody in the band. You know, that's when you like check your ego and you're just like, this is for the team, you know, kind of. Yeah. And I think that's how most things in life are. You know, you kind of do shit together.
Yeah.
You
guys are almost a family, you know, and that's what's really
pretty
cool
much
as a band. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very much like that. Yeah.
Awesome. So speaking of influences, I guess from you as a guitarist, or you in like punk rock influences, what kind of influence? What influenced you?
Dude, I mean, like, I always liked, like, punk that was, like, you know, like, wild sounding, wild looking. Like, I love that shit, man. I love when a band is fucking just, you're up there and it's like, these fucking dudes give a fuck about this. Their hearts are, you can tell when a band has the heart in, you know?
Yeah.
And then you can tell when people just get up on stage and they're pretty good, but, you know, it's the same guys at Guitar Center and kind of shit, like, where it's like, yeah, you're talented, but where's your passion? You need passion. And I like when bands like, you know, at a very early age, I saw that with, when I was just going, honestly, I was going like Sam Goody when I was like fucking 11, 12 years old, and buying like cassette tapes, and it was like, you know, it was stuff what was available. It was like The Accused, of course it was like Sex Pistols, of course it was The Exploited, dude. And like when you're a kid, man, you're fucking picking up these tapes and shit, and that was like that was the format at the moment. And then I remember they were clearing vinyl out because the stores no longer wanted records. That was like the old shit. And so I remember buying, like, I was like, oh shit, Circle Jerks, this looks pretty cool. And I bought that record for like $7, Wild in the Streets. And you could tell when bands just have something going, and it's just like, this is fucking awesome. And I love when bands are like the music matches like the people in the band too, you know? So like that would be with Waddy from The Exploited or GBH and Discharge and all those cool like UK82 bands, even the more obscure bands too. Dude, I could talk to you all day about the Transistors, Dead Wretched, all that cool shit. And even bands that have like just 7 inches and that's it, you know. But like that shit was so fucking important to me, and it is still. And it's like, so I like kind of, you know, look it, live it, and love it. I like that. But that's for me now. You know, a lot of people get kind of critical and cynical about that. But I just I like when a band has like a presence, you know. And I also like when a band is very energetic. That's what I always thought about the hardcore bands of like yesteryear. They were fucking just going, because we would go to shows and just check out what other bands are doing and stuff. And I would always see hardcore bands. And I was like, okay, like, they look like they just got out of the gym, but they're fucking going nuts.
yeah. That's cool you said that.
And the music's great too, you know. So it's like, I took a lot of influence from some of that stuff too. I would go see Right Brigade. They were the East Coast. I saw In My Eyes. Another band that was great was called Dare to Defy. And these guys were like hardcore motherfuckers, but I don't know what happened to them now, but they were great hardcore bands. And, you know, of course, the old classics like the Gnostic Front stuff. But I don't know if that answers your question. I just kind of went on my own thing.
No, that's all good. That does, I mean, influences are influences, especially being a musician. Like, it changes all the time. But that's...
it's just, I think when you go to... The influence to me was definitely like Exploited, GBH, Blitz. But like I would go to, dude, I mean, you just things like I would just go to shows. Whatever it was, mostly punk, mostly metal stuff, and then like hardcore stuff. But sometimes you break out, and like I would go see the Pogues, and I don't know what it is. This dude would come out in fucking wheelchair like Shane MacGowan, but didn't matter, dude. Once he started doing those lyrics, that place fucking erupted.
Yeah.
You know? And it was just like, there was something about it. There was like, sometimes you go see bands and you're like, oh shit, okay, like this is not like exactly the lunatic fringe that I'm into, but like it's like epic, totally. Like you got to go see the small, like real small bands, and then you got to go see the big bands, and then you got to see the middle bands, all that shit, you know.
That's cool about your influences, because I literally see that in your band, in Casualties. Like whenever I would see you guys live, it's like, dude, are these guys like, this is like a workout, man. Like seeing you guys are running, you know, up and down the stage, and it's just, that's a real show to me. You know what I mean? Like it's just It's like when you like see like Sick of It All, you're like, dude, damn, those guys fucking just don't stop. Yeah.
Like Gnostic Front, all the classic like New York hardcore bands, and then just like, and then like even cool like fucking damn, I went and saw like Destruction once, that classic German thrash band, and they just wouldn't stop fucking just ripping, dude. And I was like, this is fucking cool. So it was kind of like you could go see shit from everything, and when a band like cares, and I felt like if you don't have energy on stage, man, what are you fucking doing?
Yeah,
there's no point.
Exactly. For sure. Good stuff. So speaking of guitars, what kind of guitars do you like on tour in the studio, or is it just kind of depends how you feel?
I like I have what I started out with was a classic like Gibson SG, and I still have it. I love it. I won't take it out on the road anymore though. It started like, because I'm like stage diving with it and shit.
Yeah.
And it was starting to break, not the neck, but like some of the body came up from the input jack, and I was like, oh, I gotta stop this. So then later on, I started playing like ESPs and Schecters and stuff, and those are great guitars, great guitars. So I'm gonna stick with those and just like, they're durable, dude. They're tough. It's like, to me, like the Gibsons of yesteryear, they're like antiques, so they're gonna get fucked up in a punk rock environment. It's the same with like Marshall heads. I love the JCM 900, but dude, it just could not handle the fucking road. They just could not fucking handle. It's not tough, man. So that's why I got a PV 6505 plus, which is basically 5150. Yeah, and it's tough, man. So it's like, and they can handle the road, man. It's like, I need shit that doesn't fucking break every 5 minutes. I don't have time to go to the goddamn shop and fix this and fix that. I don't have fucking time for that. I'd rather go see a fountain or something. Yeah. Or check out a cool like vegan shop, lunch spot or something. Go see some cool shit. I don't want to spend my time in fucking goddamn music shop. I did enough of that in the 90s. So now I like those guitars, what I was talking about, ESPs and Schecters. They're strong, man. They're roadworthy. And like I said, PV's is a great fucking guitar head.
Yeah.
I just need shit that works and I can rely on it.
Yeah.
Because on tour you don't have time, man. The next fucking show is 8 hours away.
Yeah.
And you gotta sort of sleep somewhere.
Yeah. I love you said that, because I when I first started touring with different bands as a drummer, I hated doing that, what you just said.
Oh, you have way more work.
Yeah, just gears and drum heads and cymbal cleaner too. It was crazy, man. But yeah, that's just what you got to do, So speaking of shows and things like that, there's some bands that are doing virtual shows and things like that. What do you think about that?
It's tough, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not really into it. It's
weird.
Keith and I are laughing about it. He's my best friend.
Oh, what's up, man?
I saw this one of the shows and like everybody's in like a bubble.
Yeah.
Dude, that's not punk rock, man. I'm not doing that. I mean, I'm not gonna diss any bands that try to do like a drive-in thing or something like that. That's cool, but it's like, people come together in punk rock. Like you're sweaty on your next friend next to you, like whoever it is, you're together, and that's like one huge germ, you kind of, that's the coolness of it, man. You're all brothers and sisters at that time, at that place, and it's tough to not have that human interaction like that.
Yeah,
like
totally.
I don't know. I don't bag on bands for trying to do something.
Yeah,
get creative. Dropkicks did something that was cool. There's a few other bands, like Dave's other band, Starving Wolves, did a little virtual show. It's cool. It's just, I feel like maybe we'll hold out to do like a real tour, like when that happens. I mean, every fucking band wants to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
Back again. So, but I don't bag on bands for trying something. To me, it's like, I don't know. Like, I feel like I would not opt for that right away, but maybe I have to rethink that. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's just
food for thought.
Yeah, food for thought. Yeah, it's not the same. I know what you mean. It's just, Like these things are cool, like live interviews and all that stuff. But yeah, it's just
Yeah.
there's nothing better than going to the actual show and feeling it there, especially at a punk rock show. I mean, even more than a hip hop, because I've been to many different shows of different genres, but there's something about a punk show when you go to one, it's just like a whole other level every time. You know?
Totally. Yeah.
Good stuff. So speaking of that, for bands and artists that want to dive into, let's say they want to start touring when they can and all that stuff. So what kind of advice and tips you might have for them?
That's tough. I mean, I don't know, man. I think you just all right. Well, you'll see that I don't have all the answers now. One of the things I would say is you got to get the right type of person that wants to go out there.
Yeah.
And like is cool with sleeping in the van in the fucking parking lot and isn't going to be a complainer about it. And then you got to get people that are going to be cool with the people and treat people good. That's another part of it. And then, cause you know, the people that are coming to see your shows, you know, they're supporting you. You got to be cool with those guys and girls and everybody. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like you can't have too much of an ego out there and you need a reliable van.
Yeah. Plan ahead,
that's
basically.
Reliable van, dude. Nobody wants to be on the side of the road. The side of the road will either tighten up the band or fucking break it up.
Yeah.
So, you know, I remember breaking down. We had fun with it. We would break down and we'd like set off fireworks and shit and just like try to just like you're sucks, but let's just like
have some fun. Yeah. That's
some
good.
Kind of fun.
That's
shit,
cool.
man. We did enough of that. But I think that's the important thing. You need the right team, dude.
Yeah.
You could have the sickest music, and if you can't get guys that are like, you know, and I mean guys is like whoever, you know, if you can't get people that are like road worthy and road dogs, you know, like they can't hang and sleep on a fucking floor once in a while, you're not going to get like, because nobody, you know, you can't just like all of a sudden be a big band. There has to be a build up. There has to be some work and like, because anytime you see a band that splashes in and they're huge and they're like the hip cool band to go see, it's like they fade away just as fast.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like you need that team that'll put the time and persistence into it. So that's what I think. You know, it comes down to like the people that you're in the band with.
Yeah.
You know, trust me, I've been in, you know, I've been in a band with people in this band, and there's been a few members over the years that could not drag their weight, and it gets real quick.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it sucks to have dead weight in a band, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I like that. No, that's definitely some good tips. I mean, yeah, it's almost like a sports team. If they have bad chemistry, they're not going to win any games. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like
someone else will come along and help you write a good goddamn song.
Yeah.
Or be able to play as good as the guy that left, or be able to do whatever just as better, if not better than the guy that was in the band before. You know, it's just like you need someone that's fucking. You need those are the things: the motivation and the fucking like persistence. You know?
Yeah. Digging. Cool.
Perseverance. All these cool names you could see on any gym across the country.
Yeah.
But it's true.
Cool. Good stuff. I got a couple more questions. So, what other hobbies do you like doing besides music?
Dude, I love to like have a little I have a little record label that I do. Cool. So I used to do it, right? But it's gonna kind of slowly come back. So I like doing, because I like supporting punk bands. I never made any money off it. I just kind of like
fun. Yeah,
would support bands, and it would be cool to put a record out for a band and stuff and help them. So I like doing that. I like collecting records. I'm a vinyl junkie guy. I love records. I collect punk, oi, and metal records. And other than that, man, I like to back on my workout game, you know. So like I'd like to re-enter some running competitions and stuff.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
so I've been doing that lately. And then, because of quarantine, man, it got me like thinking and got me back into that shit.
Yeah.
Because then you're just kind of sitting around eating,
Don't know
drinking,
what to do.
eating, drinking,
Yeah.
and then it's like, shit, man, I can't just do this.
2 weeks later, you're like, oh shit.
You know? Yeah. So
Yeah.
like, other than the band, it's like working out right now, and I like doing music, and dude, I like to fucking travel, man. There's a lot of cool shit I want to do. There's like some really cool things I like to see. I love history. So I'm trying to see, like, there's certain hikes you can take and, like, go see, like, I like the darker history stuff,
Yeah.
you know? So, you know, I'll go see a statue of anything, but I also like to be like, oh, there's this cool cave that happened over here, and you gotta get to it.
Yeah.
So while I'm still relatively young and in shape, I want to, like, be able to go to do all of that shit. And then, so there's cool things like that. There's also, like, on one of the things I'm into is, like, these train trips you can sort of take.
Yeah.
That I'm reading about in Europe. They're kind of expensive, but you see a lot of cool stuff. So I'd like to do that, you know. So I got a lot of things on the little list here, you know, that is shit I want to get to. But history and cool stuff like that, to me, that things that have really shaped our country and our world.
Yeah.
Like, I got to go see all those things, you know. That's what a lot of my, like, Instagram and stuff has.
Yeah,
we'll have a lot of that.
Yeah, it's really cool. That's great, man. I love outdoors. Here in Texas, it's like really fucking hot sometimes. Like 100, it's like 100 degrees right now.
Oh, dude, I know.
But when it's cooler at night, you know, I guess you can. It's always nice to go explore.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And we're in the cooler months. You guys have cool shit. Like, whenever we're driving along, David and I will be driving along. He'll show me stuff, and like, there'll be like this weird little grave next to a tree with a fence around it. I'm like, what's the story behind it? I gotta know what that is. But then, you know, I'll go see the Willie Nelson statue and shit, or like, that's in Austin. But like, Dallas has all that cool stuff too. That sixth floor museum, that's fucking heavy, dude. Oof, I did not expect that.
Yeah,
you know, that was a tearjerker, that one.
Yeah.
But it's so, like, see, that's like some like dark stuff that I'm like, whoa, like, you know, I try to put myself in that place. So that to me really gets me going. But I'll also go see like an abandoned train car in like the woods or something. You know, I like all that, you know. So yeah.
That's how, dude. I love that stuff too. I'm just thinking about. I love like haunted places. Like there's Galveston Island, south of Houston. It's an island.
Oh shit! What is this?
Yeah. So exactly.
Perfect.
Apparently, the whole island's haunted. Like there was a 1912 hurricane that hit, and there was like 600,000 people that died.
Holy shit!
Yeah, it was like one of the most deadliest hurricanes. So
what island is this?
Galveston Island. So it's like just south of Houston.
I know there's a Galveston but there's a Galveston too that's not an island, right?
Yeah, so it's kind of like it's a coastal line to Galveston, and there's actual Galveston Island. Yeah, so it's kind of an area. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. It's wild.
That's cool.
Yeah, but the whole town's haunted. Like there's like 10 haunted tours you can take. It's pretty badass.
Fuck yeah. I went to one of the things I'll share really quick on that tip was, I went up to Ketchikan, which is in Alaska, and there's no highways, there's no roads to it, right?
Yeah.
And so you gotta the only way you get there is like by boat or like air, and then the air is like little planes, little Cessnas and stuff. And so like I went there, man. That place is rich in history, but it's up there. But you know, like it's things like that like have really cool like stuff that's, you know, and it's cool, and it's like sort of undisturbed, you know, like they keep it. New York has a fucking issue with that because every time something's like sort of not up to code or something, their answer is just to demolish it. But then you'll find like there was so many cool historic things there, they should have preserved it. But New York is just after money a lot of the time. So you don't get the cool things like you get out like in the Midwest. Like when I passed Ludlow, there was the Ludlow massacre, and I put that on my Instagram. And the quick little thing about that is like where this little monument was, there was this crazy massacre that happened, but it sparked the beginning of like unions and labor reform.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like a little bit like what we're going through now. There's like some cool history happening right now, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And speaking of that, what do you think of? I mean, there's a lot of situations we're dealing with, but just what do you think about all that?
I feel like you know, it's like there's a lot of turmoil out there, man, and a lot of people upset with a lot of good reasons, and then there's a lot of people distorting narratives and stuff. So it's kind of like, you know, I'm listening and observing, and you know, and hopefully we will have a 2021 will be like a safer, more, you know, better year.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. For sure.
Yeah.
Well, good stuff, man. Well, thank you for joining me today. Everyone, this is Jake Kolatis from the Casualties. This is Gibran Nassif at Keyed Up. Hopefully we'll catch up soon, man. Hear some new music and all that. We're looking forward to it.
Cheers, brother. Thank you, man.
All right, yeah, for sure.
Cheers, guys. Bye.
Yeah, take care.